Hi, we're presenting from the Learning by Doing, a handbook for professional learning communities at work, Chapter 4, Creating a Results Orientation in a Professional Learning Community. And I'm Erica, along with Julie Kaiser and Bobby Joe Stewart. Part 1 discusses the case study snapshot. New superintendent Athena Ross, in the case, discovers SIPs and plans are activity heavy and disconnected from student results. The district adopts a strategic plan but realizes plans aren't producing measurable learning outcomes. This chapter uses this case study to show what must change at the school, team, and teacher levels.
Part 2 discusses SMART goals. It focuses on results that come from people instead of from plans. That formal strategic plans rarely are what move results, and that PLCs build results through focus, through team-owned SMART goals. SMART goals is an acronym. It stands for strategic or specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and time-bound. Before you can start with a SMART goal, the teams need to have clarity first. Attainable goals lead to early wins and efficacy. Stretch goals lead to innovation and direction. And district goals equal long-term stretch team goals that are attainable benchmarks. Part 3 continues about SMART goals and why they're important. Results-oriented PLCs rely very heavily on SMART goals. SMART goals are important because the focus clarifies exactly what students should learn and how success will be measured. The alignment connects team, school, and district goals for consistent direction. The accountability provides concrete benchmarks to track progress and adjust instruction. The collaboration piece encourages teams to analyze common data and plan collective responses. And the motivation is celebrating progress towards clear, time-bound goals and builds commitment and momentum. The key takeaway from this is that SMART goals really transform intentions into measurable results and guide PLC teams to use evidence of learning to drive continuous improvement.
Okay, Part 4, assessing your place on the PLC journey and how to move forward. So assessing your place is really important with the PLC because you need to know where you are currently in the continuum, how to access current school implementations on the PLC and use the SMART goal. If you know where you're at, then you're able to implement moving forward and initiating the activities in order to achieve those steps in the SMART goals. It has to be realistic time, and you have to know how to assess the effectiveness of the initiative you are doing. So in the case study, no site visit. Superintendent Ross visited the sites, and there was no indicators on the effectiveness of the goal and where they were in the goal. The site principal needed to create a PLC to establish where they were on the continuum and how they were going to meet the goal. The district has to help create the PLC teams for each site and to create those SMART goals and to support those SMART goals to the mission statement and to get buy-in from teachers, students, and community and administrators. After the SMART goal has been implemented and they know where they are, they can gauge where they need to go and they can move forward. Which moves us to Part 5, tips for moving the PLC forward and assessing their journey. Remember, the couple things that you have to remember is remember less is more. Limit the number of initiatives. Tie the goals to the district goals. Using goal setting templates for each team. Review that goal and the team's goal and not individual goals. Monitor the work towards goals. Celebrate any progress that's being done. And then review the effectiveness of the academic and the effectiveness of the goal. And that includes the stretch goals. In the case study, superintendent had reviewed what was taking place, and she realized that there wasn't a whole lot of where we are in the initiative and where they're moving forward on. So she had to make sure the goal tied into the district goal and the SMART goal, and they'll align with a template, and to make sure they gave a starting point at each school, who's responsible, the actions needed to get that goal, and making sure that the language goal that they were using is tied into the team and not just to a person at the site. The team has to work it together. How they were going to monitor the goal. So the superintendent had to figure out how specific details and deadlines and alignments had to come into play, and how they were going to use a common assessment to make sure those teachers are having analysis time to improve the goal. And then at the end, the superintendent to achieve on their achievements, to celebrate those small achievements, and then finally make sure that each goal that was being implemented was effective and met the goal.
Part 6, questions to guide the work of your PLC. So in this section, these are questions to guide the work of your professional learning community. To sum it up, the text evaluates whether district goals are effectively guiding schools and teams, focusing on goal alignment, SMART criteria, progress monitoring, feedback, recognition of small wins, and inclusion of stretch goals. So I'll give you a moment to review these questions. And we move on to part 7. Thank you. Part 7, dangerous detours and seductive shortcuts. So we want to be aware of goals that are so narrow that they could be accomplished even if students learn less. For example, a team has a goal of improving student performance in the skill of capitalization. That goal could be achieved even if overall reading comprehension and writing declines. Beware of morally impeccable goals that are impossible to monitor. For example, a goal that students will be lifelong learners is not a SMART goal without identifying specific indicators that it will monitor to assess progress. Lastly, beware of goals that do not require students to learn at a higher level. Focus on what students will do, not what teachers do. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening.